Two black girls.
Two black girls.
Two black girls.
With love.
With love.
With love, black women.
I was a lot of things as a girl. The biggest thing about me is that I guess I really liked kind of being the center of attention and like being in front of people and performing. But in school, my childhood, I feel like there was a little bit of a battle for me.
Many of the struggles that I faced when I was younger were due to the outside world. We lived in, believe it or not, this incredible community of immigrants. So there were Italians to the right. There were people from Poland to the left. The community was so loving, embraced, and so diverse. But as soon as I would step out of the community, it was a different world. You crossed the bridge to go to school and it was all Caucasian. And the white community wasn't as friendly and it wasn't so inviting. So it was hard because I literally lived in two worlds. I'd come home to this environment where everybody was loving and they would embrace you, but as soon as I would go off to school, it was always a challenge. I was always faced with feeling as if I was less than.
So I was born and raised in Haiti up until I was 12 years old. It was challenging because I had a language barrier. The middle school that I went to was within Boston, so in the urban areas of Boston. So everyone was predominantly of color. There was still some division between the people of color that were born here and the people of color that were immigrants. So it's just the typical, oh, you're an immigrant taking over my country. I've heard that straight up.
I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood, not a lot of diversity racially, and so as a young girl, I think I knew I was different. My dad is black, and he would tell us like how beautiful we were all the time. So I knew that like there was nothing wrong with me, but I knew I was different than all the little girls like on the playground. The disconnect I think manifested as I got older, because all the stereotypes I think that I heard about what like black people are, I didn't fit those. We're seen as like gold diggers,
A murderer,
Lower educated.
Sassy.
We are all the same. We're all very different.
government assistants,
a prostitute.
Uneducated.
not as intelligent.
I mean, I would have a little fun here and there after watching Bad Girls Club, and I would stand on my couch, I run LA. But I never fought anyone.
I felt like when I spoke my mind, I was portrayed as the typical black girl. Ghetto.
Drug dealer.
And like very rarely as like beauty icons.
I just don't think I felt confident myself as a kid, seeing the standard of beauty, like if you walk into like clothing stores and seeing like not someone like me like modeling clothes and things like that, like it was definitely tough.
I would say, this is the thing I would always say, like when I was young, I was hurt. I don't know why I thought that. My mom would tell me every time I say that, she's like, Whitney, stop, you were so beautiful. I was like, Mom, no, I was skinny, I was dark skinned, my teeth was messed up. I think the only thing I had going for me is I had really nice, long, thick hair, and I was athletic. That was it. I didn't find myself, beautiful.
I would say my skin complexion was a huge issue for me. I was really insecure about being that dark-skinned girl because it seemed then that the light-skinned girls, everybody wanted them and they were the unique. And I was very insecure about being that dark-skinned girl who was always put in the friend zone.
When I was growing up, I did not feel beautiful. I was such a tomboy. So I had a horrible image in my head of how I look to the outside world. Out of all of my siblings, my sister is absolutely gorgeous. She always has, and she still is very beautiful. And I used to compare myself. I had some of my family relatives that would constantly point out the difference between my sister and myself. And that image that they had of beauty stuck with me.
For me, perfect example for me is music videos. It really just puts a lot of like the reality in front of your face, and I think this is also within the black community too, specifically. So a lot of like your rap music and things like that. You oftentimes see or saw the dark-skinned girls in the back or not in the video at all. You saw the like lighter-skinned girls or maybe like Hispanic and white. You always kind of wonder like what's the representation, especially since it's all about these music videos having like beautiful women around. When you don't see anyone that looks like you, it kind of comes into question like, am I beautiful?
I was really tall back then, and so I was really tall, really curvy. My hair, like I said earlier, like my hair didn't fit like the normal what like pretty was. I remember being like 10 and be like, oh, I have to do like crunches, I have to do all these things to like try and fit the mold and change my body, and clearly that doesn't work like that.
I think being told often that your hair's too kinky, which was huge, you're a little too dark, go get it pressed, dress girly, really tore down my self-esteem.
Growing up as kids and like seeing like the standard of beauty growing up of even like Barbie dolls and like things like that all having straight hair, it kind of gave me the insecurity of my own hair. I still have insecurities today about my hair, but people would talk about black girls and like their hair and like what they wear and like other school buses, and that never related to me. But I also did feel that pressure of always keeping my hair contained, like not letting it out, not wanting someone or anybody to call my hair nappy and things like that. Like I definitely felt that pressure.
Growing up, the relationship with my hair was difficult. I was told that curly hair wasn't pretty and not beautiful, and so that was also a big thing. So when we finally were able to buy a straightener, my sister and I would straighten our hair. I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I wasted so much time. I treated my hair so poorly, but at the time I just felt like that's what I had to do.
So I started doing my own hair when I was like in secondary school in Haiti. But for some reason when I got to the US, I wanted my hair straight. I think the media had a lot to do with it in terms of, you know, how I viewed my hair and the type of experiences that the type of experiments that I want to do with my hair. Which now that I look back at it, I think it was an experience that I needed. Like it's part of the self-love process. It's how you evolve and get to see, you know, that the grass isn't really greener on the other side.
If it's something that you're like, I want to just try it out, sure, that's great. You know, some days I'll still straighten it. I think if you're doing it because you don't feel beautiful otherwise, I'd say like reflect a little bit. I think it's hard to sometimes sit and reflect and think, why do I think this? I think there's just a lot of confusion until I was able to have people challenge me who looked like me, but also people who didn't look like me challenge me and say like, this is societal's norms that are based off of like race and racism.
I looked at my natural hair, which also has changed, and I said, you know, I love my thickness. People want this thickness. I'm going to embrace it and figure out what will my natural hair do. And I love it and embrace it more for my daughter because I'm raising a little black girl and her hair is beautifully thick and really, really curly, and I want her to love that. I don't want her ever to feel like she needs to do anything to her hair, but embrace what she has on her head.
Embrace it. God created you with this hair, and just understand that you are beautiful no matter what type of hair you have. Learn to do different styles with it.
I had perm my whole life, and to have perm you have to maintain it. But in college I didn't do that, so my hair would break, and I felt so like not good because it wasn't as healthy, it wasn't as long. I was so afraid to cut my hair, and the idea of going natural was so not gonna happen. My mom would even say like, oh, thank goodness you don't have your curly hair anymore. This was so hard to maintain. And then yeah, in school, same thing. Everybody around me had straight hair. Anytime I did anything out of the norm, like I used to get braids, they would look at me like I was crazy and they'd make fun of me. So I noticed I got made fun of less when my hair was straight.
People would make fun of my accent, how I dressed. You know, people would just point the finger at you from time to time, and they would say things like, you're taking over my country, you're doing this, you're doing that, when really I'd be doing nothing.
I was notoriously teased about my dimples. The people started saying you have dead skin cell. It was just horrible. Kids are horrible sometimes. But I love them now. I embraced it as that is something unique to me. Several people wish they had them.
Bullying is real. And the things that I didn't have to encounter, I didn't have to worry about waking up to social media, Facebook, Twitter, and having my name blasted and negativity printed about me, or someone posting a video about me. I didn't have to do that. For the Black girls that are dealing with cyberbullying or any negativity that's in social media, I would encourage you to tell someone. Don't live in a silo. Don't be quiet. When you see something that's negative and it's not true, that is your brand that they're talking about. You want to tell somebody and correct that behavior, because if you don't, you're going to isolate yourself, and you don't want to do that.
All this social media stuff, dang. I mean, MySpace was hard, but it was not that hard. You could have one little crusty picture of you up on the page, and then that was it. It was fine. You really just needed it to communicate to other people. But now it's like you have to look a certain way to the outward world that may not align with your reality. Do you understand how hard that is? I try to take pictures every day of myself to put on Instagram, and I'm never happy about any of them. I can only imagine someone who's young, who's impressionable, who maybe was me as a kid, having to do that. That would take a toll, especially where I was super insecure as a kid. Having to perform for the whole world.
I think it's really important just to share, because even if you don't realize it's a negative experience, or someone this negative stuff is happening, just sharing your day with your best friend, or with a family member or someone that you trust is important, because they can help you kind of think oh, that's not good, and they can help you kind of reframe that.
I come from a family that's very Christian, legalistic. I'm not gonna say crazy, I don't want to offend anyone, but borderline culty. So mental health for them wasn't really a thing. Coming from Caribbean family, Christian family, that's not a thing. You feel some type of way, you pray. And if you tell anyone that you feel some type of way, they say, why? You have a roof over your head, you have food to eat. What is it that you're mad about? What is it that you're sad about? You had no reason to be sad. You had no reason to feel anxious or anything like that.
I feel like there's a lot of stigma in Black families when it comes to just talking about it. There's literally nothing wrong with that, and I feel like it's so much more healthy to go and talk to someone about it than just bottling it all up.
It's up to you to do something for yourself, because you live for you, so you have to decide, am I gonna love myself through this, or am I not?
It's easier said than done, and I think the number one thing you want to do is know that there's people out there who love you, who see your worth, who see how beautiful you are, and you don't need to ask for anyone's permission to be you. Take the time to really learn to love yourself, whether it be trying different things for you, not for other people, or maybe writing, journaling. That helped me a lot.
You will have people who will stomp on you, and you will have people say, no, don't, or you're not able. Finding someone that I really think supports me, loves me, and really talking out my thoughts about it gives me a huge boost of confidence.
I think I'm really lucky in that my mom would be how was school, what are you doing, all these things, and having an honest conversation with us. My parents were pretty bluntly honest with us and really transparent, and I think that was a huge deal in my success in getting to where I am. If people don't have that family member, I think even finding a teacher, an advisor, a faculty member, someone who would listen to them on that campus at their school, just to talk to, because having an advocate who can help them navigate the processes is huge.
I think parents need to do their job and try their best to, especially if these are young girls and they can't always reach out and do this on their own, they need help. I would recommend putting Black men in their life who can treat them the way that they are, and that's beautiful Black women, strong, powerful queens.
Everything is beautiful about Black girls. From their smiles, their energy, the fact that they're caring and nurturing. I love the way that they're willing to step out and defend friends and how they bring communities together. They're always willing to help and serve their communities.
So, you know, my primary purpose is for the people who don't have a voice or don't feel like they can make a statement. I want to be there and say, no, you're gonna make it, and I'm gonna be either behind you, in front of you, next to you, whatever, but I have your back. I don't think people really understand the power of their voice. And the power of what they think and the power of telling their story. Do not be quiet. You may get naysayers, but I think you will get a lot of support just by telling your story and speaking up.
I sometimes feel like I have a certain privilege because I haven't necessarily experienced the extreme that one of my Black sisters or one of my Black brothers have experienced. So my role in that is to continue to advocate for them, because not everyone is able to advocate for themselves, and if we can't bring attention to these issues, then they won't ever be changed, they won't ever be helped.
And that's the side that people don't usually see when they think of girls of color. They think of them as objects as opposed to means to success.
But I would definitely say, like, you are beautiful. There is no, like, normal or standard that, like, we have to be. I would say be stubborn in, like, your dreams. Be stubborn in who you are, because no one can tell you that you're not smart. No one can tell you that you're not beautiful. It's your life. Like, try to, like, go in whatever path you're trying to go down.
Always have something to focus on, like a goal, because you have to get to that goal and to just continue to build your future. No one's gonna think you're beautiful unless you think you're beautiful. And it's just unfortunate that we place a lot of these values on the outside. And yes, I understand that they are important, but there's something about when you're comfortable with yourself, it just makes everyone comfortable with you. So long as you're healthy, there's really nothing else that you should be worrying about in terms of like your appearance.
I watch a lot of RuPaul's Drag Race, and one thing RuPaul says all the time, and I'm gonna quote this, is if you can't love yourself, why the hell are you gonna love somebody else? So I feel like definitely loving yourself and like learning that you are good enough is definitely one huge giant leap forward. Still today, there's like industries and like places you don't like see anybody that looks like you. Like you can be that person for someone that's younger than you, to go into that world and like be you and like be someone that's like inspirational. Black women are powerful and have a lot to say in different categories and areas.
I don't care if you don't think that I belong. I'm going to let you know I belong, and I'm going to let you know that I can excel at this. And I think that is such a beautiful, unique thing to Black women.
I think we have the unique experience of being able to overcome and to love ourselves, and to get to go through that journey. Not everyone has to do that, because maybe to the world they're ideal. So I think that's what makes us beautiful. And not only that, like, we're queens. What? Do you not see that?
Girl, have you seen that skin, honey? Black girls are beautiful. Like, look at our skin, our melanin. That just pops. You put on a yellow, you put on a white, girl. Listen, I think, you know, not everyone looks the same, and that's also beautiful because we're embracing our differences. And I am completely in love with my curls, my skin tone, and everything that comes with that. And we just have a lot to offer. That's way more than what we look like on the outside too, because at the end of the day, like, we're so human, and we're smart, we're capable, and we're beautiful, and we should embrace that until the day of our death, really.
Black girls are strong,
Fortitude,
Beautiful in all shades and sizes.
Amazing.
intelligent,
loving,
Inspirational.
resilient, and they can do anything that they put their minds to.
Queens and princesses and fairies. You can be anything.